September this year I decided to hike the Cape Wrath Trail. This trail is something that I aspired to do for some time, as I've always shown a massive love and interest towards the Scottish Highlands. The Cape Wrath Trail is a 230-mile route starting from Fort William and finishing at the iconic Cape Wrath lighthouse, which is the most northwesterly point in mainland Britain. This journey was epic and one I won't easily forget. Memories and friends that will last a lifetime. I hope you enjoy this video. Hi everyone, I hope we are all good and doing well. I just wanted to do a video saying thank you so much for all the support I got for the Cape Wrath Trail that I've recently done. I got such lovely comments and messages like DMs, emails, comments. It was so nice to see. Move boy, good boy. And I just want to say I really appreciate it and it means a lot. So I thought I'd say that. I've read every single comment. I couldn't reply to them all. Some of them are questions and obviously I couldn't reply to them. So I thought that I'd do a whole video today explaining the kit I took, what I wish I didn't take, what I wish I did take, how I went about planning it, how I found it, any advice or top tips that I give you now that I've actually done the walk, and also a lot of questions on how I got back, because at the time I was struggled a little bit because transport wasn't the best, and I thought I'd explain a little bit more about that, about getting back home from the lighthouse. So I hope you enjoy this video. No further ado, I'm gonna open up the pack and talk a little bit about my kit. Anyway, I'm not going to waffle for hours about my kit because I have already done what I was taking with me. Before I went. The bag looks really bad now, it's really wonky. I literally tried to remember everything I took with me. I've been back over a month now, so I just loaded everything in quick and rough just because I'm going to get it out and talk about it. Essential items that I would take if I was walking the Cape Wrath Trail would be the following. So I would definitely take decent hiking poles, 100%. Hiking poles were a must just for everything, especially with the footwear that I decided to take, because I haven't got loads of ankle support, but I had the support of the poles. First time I've ever used poles, I felt it got me in a nice rhythm. River crossings, perfect for that, testing the depth of the water and also a bit of support. The rivers weren't hugely bad. I had two river crossings that were a bit naughty, but apart from that I was pretty good for river crossing. But if you do go when it's been raining a lot, then they're a must. Bogs as well. There's bogs all year round, I think, on that trail. It's just really wet, so I definitely tested the depth of a bog before I went into it. So you can just test the ground and the terrain and see what the floor's like before you actually step on it, because obviously you've got your weight and also your extra pack weight, so you've got to allow for that, and I think by testing it with a hiking pole is just great. And I had one dealing where I fell into a bog near my thigh, and I couldn't get out because obviously you've got a bag on and you've just fallen in a bog. So having the poles to try and get myself out was essential. And also coming downhill with a pack on, it's nice to have poles when you're coming down and it's like slippery stones. So definitely recommend the hiking poles. I have got the black diamond ones. They're not overly expensive, but they're not cheap. I wouldn't go for really cheap poles, just because I knew someone who was hiking in that area. I think it was the Noida area, and her poles had snapped just because of the weight that she was putting onto them, and they broke. So I definitely think about getting some decent ones. I know you can get a lot more expensive than these, and I know you can get a lot cheaper, but I really liked these. They were comfortable, they're lightweight, they fold up small, and they were really strong. I put them through the absolute ringer. I was literally leaning all my body weight on them, smashing them about, putting them between rocks. They were great. So I will put the link to all of my stuff if you are interested. Obviously I'm not really sponsored for much of this, so I'm not just doing it because I'm sponsored. I bought a lot of this kit before going. Right, next thing I want to talk about is my tent. If you're doing the Cape Wrath Trail, there is very limited accommodation and hotels and things like that. So I think everybody on that trail took their own shelter, even if they were thinking of staying in boffies and the accommodation that there is on the way. I think some people overhype it and make it like it's really desolate and that you won't see nothing for the whole time, but that isn't the case. There is places to stay along the way, and there is quite a few boffies, which definitely would recommend. Never stayed in a boffie before this trip, and I loved it. A lot of people have asked me how I like this tent, and I'll just talk really quickly about it. First of all, you'll think, why she got it in the bottom of her bag? You should really have your tent in the middle where it's like on your back and nice and balanced out. I did try that. It is great, obviously, having the back really, having it against your back and not low down. This is a lightweight tent though, so it isn't extremely heavy. Also, when it was wet, I liked that it was in its separate compartment at the bottom. Like, it was literally wringing, soaking wet. I'd put it back in and put it in the bottom of my bag, and that way when I'm putting my pack on wet floor it wouldn't really matter because my tent was wet anyway. I also took this. My tent got absolutely soaked when I put it away each night inside of the tent, and the ground sheet was wringing, so I'd put this down on the floor each night just to save my mat and my bag from getting wet. Sorry about the planes. I'd just like to mention as well that I've got a 65 litre pack. This is the Osprey Aura 65. I think that is a really average size that people take on this trip to fit everything in. Really love this bag. The only problem is when I got it in a bit too big a size, and it doesn't fit perfectly on my back and my shoulders. I've maxed out the straps, and I think I got a medium back, women's. Anyway, I was on about my tent. So, would I recommend this tent? I think I would, definitely. It is the Fjällräven Abisko Light solo tent, and it's very small. It's very compact. It's really light. I love that it's got separate compartment for the poles, so they're not stuffed into the tent. Really waterproof. The bug net on it is amazing, which was essential. I didn't think it would need to be essential. It's got the nice pegs on it. I was thinking about getting hardcore pegs for the trail. I don't think you really need them. Maybe it would be good to take if you have them, but I wouldn't go out your way and buy them. I just took the standard titanium pegs, and they did the job for the places I was camping. Only downside is the colour, and I get mocked all the time for the colour of this, but it is what it is. It's a tent. Next thing I'm going to state is I am not an extreme lightweight packer. I haven't done loads of hikes, so I wouldn't say my packing is as light as a lot of people that go and do this trail. I think my bag at the start was at like a shocking 18 kilograms, but that is counting gas for the whole time and food for the majority of it, and coffee and everything that you'll need for the trip, and clothing and your sleep system. I refueled and restocked at Ullapool, and my bag was really heavy again. I think each trip I go on, I do cut things out and think I'd get rid of that and make it lighter. And obviously you can keep spending money and throwing money at lighter things as well. And what the main thing was, I wanted to carry everything to be comfortable on the trail and have everything that I needed. I didn't want to skimp it and go real lightweight and be struggling. I wanted to enjoy it as well, be an ultra runner and go with nothing and really razz the whole trail. I met one guy on there and he went really lightweight. He didn't take any gas, he didn't take a stove, he just ate cold food, and he didn't take a tent. He just took like a bivvy bag with a tiny bit of tarp, and he went on like that, which is however floats your boat and how you want to go with it. I think also filming videos does rack up your weight, because I needed all my camera equipment and also power packs and things, which I will cover in a second. So if you now want to pick my brains for accommodation, like I've just listed, and everything to do with the trail, like the mileage, everything, this is going to be this part. So I went for 17 days. The trail is 230 miles long, and it goes over some really, really lovely places, some challenging terrain, and yes, the trail can be a bit savage depending on the weather and the time of year you go. I went in September. I started on the 14th of September and finished on the 30th. I wasn't supposed to finish until the 1st because you have the army firing zone at the end. The exercise finished a day early, and it allowed me to go and cross a day early, which was very cushy. So if I was going to do it again, these are the things I'd probably talk about just in terms of logistics without talking about gear. So definitely buy this book again or read it at home, but I'd say take it with you. I know it's bulky, it can take up a bit of weight, but I just think it was essential for planning it. The only thing I'd say about this book is great, don't get me wrong. If you're thinking of wild camping, it doesn't give you the most brilliant spots. It mainly gives you stages that go to places with accommodation, with places to buy food. Giving it more planning and watching people's videos and seeing where they camped and getting ideas, it's better to do it like that. I wish if I did it again, maybe I put more planning into the routes I wanted to do and rough ideas of where to camp. Not like it was proper scheduled, that's something I didn't want to have, but maybe just look at loads of ideas of places that you could possibly camp along the way, depending if you had a really easy day or you did push on. Because yeah, this gives you routes to a lot of the accommodation that's on the way, and I did, near the end I followed some of the routes, and I'd get to the place after doing 19 miles and I'm like, there's nowhere to camp. And it just, I don't know, it kicks you in the arse a little bit because you're a little bit knackered. You've reached the place that you wanted to get to, and now you've got to find somewhere to camp. But this is definitely a great book. I do think you should get it. It gives you places to stay, places to get food. It talks about accommodation. It talks about getting to Fort William. It talks about getting home from Cape Wrath. It really talks a lot. It talks about terrain, planning for each stage. So each night I'd get in my little tent. This would be my little routine. Get in my tent, zip it up, get into my dry stuff, put some dinner on and read this. And it was just a nice way to end the evening. And also I went through the map as well, as if you've watched the series. You can see my stages and how I found them, and just talking about it and where I camped each night. What I did, a lot of people have asked me about this, I took the 2 Harvey's maps. If you are getting a parcel sent to you with food and supplies, then you could always get the Cape Wrath North posted to you at Kinloch U. I think that's, yeah, or somewhere before. You could get it posted to Strathcarron, because that's where this starts. But I'd probably get it posted to Kinloch by the looks of things. So, the thing with these maps, they are great. They do put a lot of the route on to the map. Like, you've got 230 miles plus on 2 maps. Only thing, if you're going to take these maps, I'd probably think about taking a GPS with you also, because they give you just the trail, they don't give you what's out. So say you do take a detour or you get lost or something like that, you're not going to see because they're so zoomed in where you are. So you could just get your phone and download a GPS onto that. Right, so I guess we've gone on to navigation now. So I would take the book and the 2 maps. This is the Garmin InReach Explorer Plus. I didn't buy this for the trail. I bought this for going to Alaska. So I had the 3 options of a mapping compass. I had my phone GPS and this Garmin InReach. And this has got all the maps downloaded onto it. If you go on the Walk Highlands website, you go on that page and you can download all the files onto your Garmin or your phone. Like I said, the Cape Wrath is a route that you can plan completely on your own and make your own route. As long as you sort of start at Fort William and get to that lighthouse, then it really doesn't matter. There is 2 ways from Fort William to get to Cape Wrath, and that is you either do the route I did and going through Noida, or you go the other way which follows the Great Glen Way, and then you meet up at, I think it's Kinloch you meet up. Literally get the book, buy the maps and go on the Walk Highlands website and start planning if you're thinking of doing this, because it is such a good trail. Compass I took was just a standard Sonto with the mirror on it. I used the mirror for a mirror as well, checking for ticks and things, and yeah, just hygiene purposes as well as having it on my compass and doing leapfrogging and things. Now, as I've talked about this, I am going to talk about my electronics for the trail. A lot of people did ask me about the electronics and my solar panel I took, so I'm going to talk quickly about that. I took a bag of stuff that I needed. Got through so many memory cards. That was the main issue. I had to buy quite a few memory cards along the way because I was just filming like literally all day every day. So I took an Anker power pack with me, which weighs quite a bit, and I think everything totaled to about 1 kilo or something like that. So I took an Anker power bank with me. I'll leave links to everything. And I took this solar panel and I literally clipped it to my bag, and as I was facing north, the sunny days would be perfect because the sun would literally be on my back all day. It's a 21 watt power bank, powered solar charger, and what I did is I hung it and I would leave the power bank in here in the top of my bag where it was dry or away from the sun, and I'd hang it like this, and it would be so ideal because it would give me such good charge, especially when it was sunny. I did have a lot of cloudy days, so there was days where it wouldn't charge as well, and it's already getting a little bit of a charge now just through it being a really cloudy day. So that's that. It's quite light and it's compact, and it was something that was essential. And it meant that I didn't have to stop so often in cafes to charge everything up. Took a tiny little SONY camera, little vlogging camera. And I definitely would take a little camera or just an iPhone just for taking photos, because it's definitely somewhere that you need to take a few photos to remember your trip. And then I took a GoPro. This is the GoPro 7 Silver. So that was decent. And then the head torch, you can get a lot lighter head torches than this. This is the Olight head torch, which I've been using for so long, and I love it. The Olight torches. It is a little bulky, for this trip. And then I obviously took spare batteries, memory cards, leads, things like that. And I took one of these which you put your phone in. So when I did want to use my phone when it was raining, I had that, which was nice, and it hung around my neck. So inside the bag I took one of these waterproof liners, which is essential, I'd say, really essential. So I had the tent in the bottom of my bag, and within the bag I had this filled with everything, which was also in wet bags. But definitely invest in some good dry bags if you're going. Another thing I'm thinking about getting that I wished I took with me is a sleeping bag liner. That was like something I really missed. Not because it was cold, but because my sleeping bag, where you can't really wash a lot, can you? So I pretty much stunk my sleeping bag out, and I'm using it for over 2 weeks and I'm stinking. I think I had about 2 showers in that time. I smelt like a wet dog. I wish I had a liner to go in, and now I could have got off the trip and just washed the liner, and it just keeps your bag a little bit nicer. I've got the Rab Neutrogena sleeping bag, the 600. People have asked me about that. I was kindly gifted that by a lovely friend, so thank you so much. But this is a lightweight bag. I got a compression sack for it, a Sea to Summit one, because the Rab ones aren't amazing. I'm not a big fan of their compression sacks. I just want to talk now about some things I wish I did take. This first one, I think a lot of people will be like, yeah, I bet you did wish you took that, because the amount of times I banged on about it, editing back through the footage, I can't believe how much I went on about it. But it just shows you how bad the midgies were. I was plagued with them. I went in September so I wouldn't be plagued with them, and yeah, changed my mind on Scotland in September. Definitely will always carry midge defence, probably up until the first frost. Either smidge or the Skin So Soft. Smidge is specifically designed for midgies and for ticks and everything. And I've really liked using smidge, so I'd probably go for that. But a lot of people love the Avon stuff, and I think it's whatever works for you. I think the most popular times for going now are about May, because it's not really busy then. You've got decent weather, the midgies haven't come out fully yet, and I think that is a good time. I think September was also a nice time, but you still take your midge stuff. They're not as bad as the summer, but they're still there. And then all through the summer you've got the heat, you've got the midgies, you've got a lot of people because it's school holidays and things. So it's whenever you want to go, really. Another essential, talc. Talc in my feet every night was literally a luxury, and it felt so amazing. Taking off my wet shoes, my sodden socks, and putting this on, it was just such a morale booster. I took a bamboo cloth that was kindly given to me by one of my patrons. Thank you. And this was great because it's reusable. But the only thing is, I used it and then I tried dry it out for the next day, and it would never dry. So it was like it was soaked the whole time. And when I did put it on my bag to dry, it would be covered in like midgies and just dirt or something. So it is a hard one with this. And sometimes when it's absolutely tipping it down, you're thinking, oh, do I really want to go out to a stream to wash everything? That's why I'd probably go for these. Thank you so much to Roger Smoking Gar for these. It's a bag. They're like tiny, compact. I haven't even opened this one yet. I didn't take the tube, I just took them as separates. But they're tiny, compact, little like tablets, and when you add water to them, they swell and become like a wet wipe. Yeah, so these are great. I'm not going to open the tub yet, It was just for the video, but I took them as little separates, and I took quite a few of them. Nice for hygiene, because you just got to have a wash. You're stinking, you're walking all day, you just need a proper strip wash. Yeah, and they were the one for that. Now you're probably looking and thinking, God, was that the gas she took on the trail? That huge bottle of gas. Unfortunately it was, and this was one of the biggest regrets, was taking too much gas. I wanted to be prepared, and I thought I'll take gas to cover the whole duration and I'll be fine, because I'll be cooking breakfast, dinner, lunch. I didn't have lunch, but breakfast, dinner and brews on it every single day for nearly 3 weeks. So I thought, let's take a big gas bottle and that will sort me out, because I didn't want to take resupply parcels, because I thought it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare, and I'm going to have to get there for a certain time. I'm going to have to hover around a post office or a campsite to try and get my box. It might not get there. It was just a bit like that. So I thought I'll get to Kinloch or Ullapool, which is like the rough halfway point, and resupply there. I got to Kinloch and the shop was quite empty. There was no meals left, and it was just limited stuff you could get, and a lot of it was just crap, like pure sugars and chocolates, and sometimes you just don't really want that. Yet again, you can literally look at the book and on the map, and you can see places where you can get food and places to restock, and there is quite a few. But gas, I'd have taken the little bubble ones, and I'd have probably got gas on the trail or sent a parcel, or just took 2 little ones, and when I used one I could throw the other one away, and then I'd have another one. Talking about food and everything, with me I took the real termat meals that I banged on about so much, because they were just so nice, and I wanted to give a massive thank you to Base Camp Food for supplying me them, and I'm gonna definitely buy from them again and get more meals like that, because they are a lifesaver. With me I took Chia Charge bars, I took Kendal Mint bars, I took the Outdoor Provision peanut butter, and that was to put into my porridge. I took homemade porridge with me, as well as a few dehydrated freeze-dried breakfasts, and I did a video on Patreon of my homemade porridge. It was like a high calorie, healthy breakfast, and I filmed that. Kendal Mint offer so many nice bars, and I'm in love with the chocolate mint one that they do, and the muesli one. So I do, if you want to buy some of the Kendal Mint stuff, please use the link that I put in the description, and I get a little percentage of it, a little affiliate link, and there's a discount code in there as well. So I would appreciate it. I am a Kendal Mint ambassador. Such a lovely brand, a nice community of people who are supporting the outdoors and the place where we like to explore and enjoy. And if you are thinking of Christmas ideas, I would definitely go for this little box that you can get off them, and it's filled with all the Kendal Mint goodies that you can get. So like the Kendal Mint bars, you've got gels, and these lovely ones. Oh, these are the best. These are superfood bars, and they're high calorie and they taste amazing. I think these are my favourite, the chocolate Kendal Mint cake. Beautiful stuff. And it all comes in that nice little box. So I'm actually thinking that I might get someone that for Christmas, because it's just such a nice gift. So I think I might do that. I'm not going to tell you who it's for, because I can't do that on YouTube. I've literally wrote notes and I haven't looked at them. I wouldn't take a Camelback. With me I took a Camelback and a Smart water bottle, and I also took a soya squeeze and a Chinook bag. I ended up just using the Smart water bottle, and I ended up not even using any filtering. I literally just took my bottle, put it under a really fast flowing waterfall or stream, and would drink straight from that. I did that for 2 weeks and I wasn't ill, but I don't know if I'd risk it for a lot of people. I'd probably get the bottles that you can get where it just filters it as you drink it, or I'd have ended up filtering water for about an hour a day, stopping and having to just sit there trying to filter it through the Soya Squeeze Mini. It is a great system, and when you're sitting in the pouring rain, it's like the last thing you want to do, just sitting there cold, filtering water. I think having a quick, efficient system it decreases the chance of being dehydrated and not getting enough fluids. Water is definitely not a problem on the trail. Another thing would be take camp bothy shoes, so like camp shoes, maybe flip-flops, just for the bothy. But then I did just put like doggy poo bags in my shoes and use that. And I'd also take a cloth. I took just a standard cloth, wipe down my tent each time I got into it, just to get rid of condensation and the wetness and to dry everything. Now I was talking about bothy camp shoes, I want to talk about my actual shoes that I did take for walking the 230-mile trail. And this was like probably the hardest decision out of everything. I know it took me weeks to try and scrap some weight out of my pack, and I didn't know what to take, and I was humming and hawing with things. But I think this was the hardest decision of what footwear to take. And a lot of people have thought, "God, like Bex, why are you taking shoes with no ankle support? Why aren't you taking boots?" Last minute, I did change and I went for these. These are the Ultra Lone Peak 5 trail running shoes, and yeah, they're thin, they're lightweight. I really love the shoes. They've got a wide foot box, they are comfortable, extremely comfortable. They made river crossings and going through bogs so much easier because I didn't have to keep taking boots off and putting them back on. And they would dry out in the evenings when they were soaked. They wouldn't dry completely, but they would dry to some extent. I think if it was summer and it was hot, they would dry completely. The grip isn't amazing. They do slip about a little bit over wet terrain, but that was why I was saying it's so essential having poles. They've got a slot for putting gaiters on. So I took merino wool socks that I've got on now to show you, and these kept my feet lovely and warm, and they were comfortable, they were nice. So these are just like ones on Amazon, I think it was. They were like Swiss. If you've seen the last episode, you'll get that. Swede socks. I also met a Swedish guy from Switzerland. I don't know what you call that actually. It's not a Swede, that's someone from Sweden, isn't it? Swedish, that's sweet. I can't believe I just did that. That is an inside joke for anyone who's truly watched my videos, that bit there. Some people like boots, some people like trail runners. It depends on your personal preference, but you can get away with them. A lot of people do like them, and people do like boots. Because I wore a lot of the stuff that I did take. So I took Helly Hansen base layers, I took 2 of them. I took leggings, and I wish I had these leggings. These are the Far Raven Abisco, same make as my tent, leggings, and these are so nice. They've got knee pads, they've got a seat pad, they've got pockets for your phone to go in and a map at the side. They've got a lot of pockets in, which I love, and they're so comfortable to walk in. I had like chafing with the leggings I had, and they were really uncomfortable. And I also laddered the arse area in them, so just by sitting on rocks and things. So these are more robust, I think, and these are the trekking tights, and I love, yeah, I've bought a pair. I think I would buy another pair. That is some rough clothing I took. I took this jacket. I love the Rab stuff. I took the Rab waterproofs, this a Rab mid layer, and the Helly Hansen base layers. But I also really like this new base layer I've got off Bamboo Clothing, and it's really warm, and it's got these in, which I love. When you have like thumb holes in your clothes. I think definitely in the evenings and when it is getting colder, it's nice to have that. Or even when you're holding hiking poles all day, it's nice to have a bit of protection on your hands. Another essential item I would say is Compeed for your blisters. Definitely a must, something that you need. Right, now I'm going to talk about getting back. And you can talk about getting there. That is pretty easy to get to Fort William if you are thinking about doing it north to south. It's quite south to north. If you're thinking about doing it south to north, it's pretty easy for getting to Fort William, or north to south, getting away from Fort William. There's plenty of transport and that covers it in the guidebook. But if you are thinking about going to Cape Wrath and it's outside the regular times, like the normal summer holiday period, it does get quite tricky. And I got to the lighthouse, I haven't even said this on the final. I got to the lighthouse and I was excited to go over to Durness and spend a few days over there before heading back down south. And it's quite easy to get like a Durness bus from there, so you can literally go to the lighthouse, you get the mini bus from the lighthouse, you cross over the Carl of Durness, and then you get a bus over to Durness, which is about here, and then you can get a bus down. So that was my original plan, and I got to the lighthouse, crossed the military range. They said, yeah, there's nothing running. So I was a bit gutted, and I'd walked that, I think it was 9-mile stage that day from Sandwood, and I got there, I was a bit gutted, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to walk back through them bogs because that is a tricky old stage. But they've got the Ozone Cafe there, which is a lifesaver, and the guy was trying to get in contact with the ferry guy because I was going to walk and then get a ferry, and that didn't happen. What I did is I walked all the way back to Sandwood the way I came, camped at Sandwood, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to get a minibus from Kinlochbervie, which is the town before you go to Sandwood. And you'll know all this when you do your research. Went back to Kinlochbervie and knowing my luck, minibus is fully booked. The next one's the next week if you want to get your bus home. And there's no transport, it's literally just that minibus and people who are passing through. And it's quite a small little town because it's so far north. From Sandwood, I got a lift from some farmers in the area that dropped me at Kinlochbervie. It's funny how when you've done it you become lazy, but I did walk quite a way and then got a lift. And then I got to Kinlochbervie and no buses running. So what I did is I hitched and I put my thumb out, and luckily a couple picked me up and they dropped me at Ullapool. And then I got to Ullapool and the buses weren't running until that night. So I was like, oh, it's really not my day. And I met the lovely couple who are in my last video, Yvonne and Fritz, and we met in Ullapool and they gave me a lift further down south, which was perfect. And yeah, it was lovely tying up with them again. They are the most nicest people ever, and they were lifesavers, everyone who gave me a lift, because I don't know how I would have got back. I set myself the goal of 2 days to reach the nearest train station. It was 40 miles, and then I'd get a train home, and that's what I had in plan, and then I'd just put my thumb out. On that note of Fritz and Yvonne, I wanted to mention this ball she gave me, which was like a game changer. It is a ball that you can run your foot over to help with circulation and warming your feet up. So because your feet are essential when you're hiking all day, and getting nice footwear that fits nice and looking after your feet. But this ball is a Neuro Ball, and you basically run your foot over it and it warms up all the sensors and she explains it so much better than me because she does it, it's her job. This is another Christmas present idea, I guess. And I'll put a link to this. It opens up into two. and you can lay it on the floor, and there's exercises that you do to help with your feet. So like I said, I put the link into that and you can check that out. But right, I think I've covered everything. I've yapped on for so long and I'm very sorry. I will put like chapters on this. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for supporting me on YouTube and on Patreon. I've had some new patrons from the Kate Raff series, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the lovely brands that supported me. I reached out to some brands in hopes for a little bit of help for doing this trip, because there's quite a bit of gear that you do need for it, and just for future trips, and they were perfect. Definitely recommend the trail. If you're thinking of doing it solo, go for it. There's obviously things you've got to prepare for, and you can't just go out willy-nilly into mountainous area and expect mountain rescue to come looking for you, but I wouldn't let nerves and fear put you off. Yeah, so you got one life, live it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you all a wonderful day. I hope this has helped if you are thinking of walking the trail. It is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I've had so many nice memories from it, and it was nice going back and editing through it all and rekindling some of the moments I had. I met some lovely people along the way, and I'll list their Instagrams because a lot of them have put nice photos on from the trip. Thank you to all my lovely Patreons. I love you guys for supporting me for so long and allowing me to do this. So cheers everyone, I will stop waffling. Have a lovely day and take care, and I will see you on my next video. I am now back down south in the woods, so it's going to be them sort of videos. If you have any suggestions on things that you'd like me to do, then please leave it in the comments.